I have 2 butterflies, and that's a matching tattoo with Cooper. Me and Cooper are like brother and sister. He's doing amazing. He's like 7 months sober. Incredible. I love him with my heartbeat. There was a time where he struggled really bad, and I got this tattoo right after. I needed him in my life.
I don't know if you guys know Cooper's story, but I've loved that kid, and he's gone through so much in his life.
I love Cooper. Like, Cooper is like literally my brother. He's the nicest kid ever. Like, he's like so sweet.
TikTok suddenly lost one of its most down-to-earth influencers.
A lot of people on social media are just kind of like fake, and they're all like, I'm perfect.
There will be no one way for people to grieve. You never meant to break me, and that's why I'm afraid. And no right way. Now is not the time for a scandal. But while everyone was grieving, there was finger-pointing. Didn't you guys bully this guy? Finger-pointing towards who may be responsible for pushing this TikToker to his limit.
You can't be a normal person and wear what he's wearing, but
He's not a normal person.
This TikToker opened up to the world before.
This world is so cruel. I am sober, so ever say I'm not living my life.
Could the message he was trying to convey be lost in the fallout?
I just really want y'all to be safe.
What happened to Cooper Noriega, the TikToker who passed away at 19 years old? Life never offered Cooper Noriega an easy ride.
A bunch of other different things have happened in my past.
But it's this past that shaped him into the person who was adored by strangers and peers alike. And while questions over his passing linger, it's his life that will be celebrated. For Cooper Noriega, TikTok was more than an app. It was his entire life encapsulated. The platform was an outlet for his long list of passions, including fashion, modeling, and entertaining. And through his creative takes on lip syncs and dance trends, the born and raised Californian skyrocketed to new heights, gaining over 1.7 million followers on his account from spring 2019 to 2022. And it seemed virtual fame came with built-in friends, like fellow influencers Jaden Hossler, Nessa Barrett, and Josh Richards. Cooper even met his ex-girlfriend Sabrina Casada through social media. But little did anyone know that Cooper's TikTok, an account that had so defined the influencer's life, would soon stand as an homage to it. Now, here lies his past, present, and future not taken, permanently frozen in time. However, one video is missing. Just weeks before Cooper's 20th birthday, the influencer posted a since-deleted TikTok lying in bed with a caption that read, "Who else be thinking they gon' die young AF?" This was the last video the TikToker would ever post. Hours later, on June 9th, 2022, Cooper's life came to a tragic end. A passerby called emergency services when they found the unconscious 19-year-old in a mall parking lot in Burbank, California. But when paramedics arrived on the scene shortly after, it was already too late. Cooper couldn't be saved. The cause of the TikToker's passing has yet to be determined, although there is no suspicion of foul play. But by re-examining Cooper's life, we can learn more about the legacy he leaves behind. With internet stardom comes drama. This is often the byproduct of sharing your life online. And it's what happened when Jaden Hossler and Nessa Barrett allegedly left their respective on-again, off-again partners, Mads Lewis and Josh Richards, for each other. The fallout was even more drama-fueled and heartbreaking because Jaden and Josh were close friends and Nessa and Mads were close friends, making this the betrayal of a lifetime. Cooper, with friends in all corners of the feud, was dragged into the drama. Although the TikToker attempted to stay neutral, he drifted towards the two people he was closest with, Jaden and Nessa. But prior to his passing, Cooper was mending his relationship with Josh. The two spoke about the situation on a June 1st episode of Barstool Sports' BFFs podcast, hosted by Dave Portnoy, Brianna LaPaglia, and Josh himself. Cooper explained the rift between Josh and Jaden had cornered him into an uncomfortable position.
I get emotional. I'm a sensitive guy, by the way. I felt very in a moral gray area at the time.
Being forced to pick a side, Cooper picked Jaden's, a decision that ostracized him from Josh's life.
9 months of no communication at all. Like, not even like a hi. He cut me off, and I knew what I did, and I just didn't want to hurt him.
During the time they weren't speaking, Cooper was overcome with guilt. He checked social media constantly to see if Josh had unfollowed him.
I checked every month. I'm not even kidding. I was so sad, dude. I actually was so mad at myself for being a dumbass.
Seeing Cooper so vulnerable just before his passing proved difficult for fans to look back on. And there were other moments from the podcast that viewers found hard to watch for a different reason.
Are you wearing a crop top?
No.
Yeah, he is.
Kinda.
Crop tops are in. Guys wear crop tops.
Yeah,
Harry Styles does.
I'm not gonna flex.
Well, Harry Styles wears the most outrageous clothes in the world. This is a wild look.
This is a wild look.
Was this just lighthearted teasing, or had the host gone too far?
Yeah, I think it's a great look.
Yeah, you like wacky looks. Like I get it. Like you can't be a normal person and wear what he's wearing, but
He's not a normal person.
Cooper's viewers weren't impressed with the way he'd been treated. You deserved better on that podcast. You shouldn't apologize for your clothes or hide them. Keep wearing what you want because you look good in everything. But it didn't appear that Cooper was holding a grudge. I love Dave, it's not deep, he told his fans. On the podcast, Cooper also discussed his relationship with Jaden, who had recently split up with Nessa. Despite statements that Jaden and Nessa would always be his best friends, it seemed, as far as Jaden was concerned, that may have no longer been the case.
I mean, once he left for tour, he got really busy, so we just stopped talking.
He told the podcast Jaden and himself had their own unresolved issues that were separate from any relationship drama.
I still checked up on him a few times, but one time he didn't answer, so I stopped talking to him for the rest of the tour.
Cooper also said he had reached out to Jaden more recently with an apology.
I didn't even owe him an apology, but I'm just like a very sensitive kid, as I said.
Yeah.
I was just like, yo, like, I'm sorry for not reaching out. Like, I wish you the best, man. Like, I hope, like one day, whatever.
It was a falling out Cooper still seemed emotional over. As for whether the relationship was salvageable, that was a question time wouldn't allow an answer for. The TikToker couldn't help the unstable ground his friendships were built on, just as he couldn't help the rocky terrain of his past. After all, Cooper may have been graced with online success, but offline, his life hadn't been so trouble-free.
I had like 200K on TikTok, like 20K before I met them, but I'd quit because I was like, I don't think it's gonna work. I got like hella like hate for it in high school, like just I wasn't like, I was kind of insecure. I was also overweight. Just a bunch of other different things have happened in my past.
But what exactly had happened in Cooper's past? According to the Discord server he launched just days before his passing, a lot.
Yo, what is up, guys? I have just created a Discord server strictly for mental health because how much I love you guys all and how much I struggle with it myself.
And it was here where Cooper candidly spoke to fans about struggling with addiction.
But I've been struggling with drug addiction since I was 11 years old.
The TikToker was well aware his normal was not most people's, but this was the life he'd been dealt. And Cooper had big dreams of using his less than ideal past to help others, and this ambition went beyond online spaces. My goal is to eventually open a rehab where people aren't traumatized at the end of their recovery, and where the staff members are trusted people, he wrote. Until that dream could become a reality, Cooper's Discord was open to anyone struggling with their mental health. One of the many things I've learned while struggling with addiction is that surrounding yourself with negative people will only bring you down. For that reason, this Discord is meant to bring us all together and create a safe space where people can vent and help others through their tough times. To Cooper's fans, his history with addiction was hardly a secret. The TikToker often used social media as a means to openly discuss his sobriety. In January 2021, he tweeted about being 90 days clean after nearly ending his life from an overdose. To Cooper, every milestone was cause for celebration. Every sober day was a step away from the destructive path he'd been on. The TikToker was clearly proud of how far he had come in a journey many addicts never embark on. Some never get the chance. In May 2022, he reassured fans he was taking care of himself and doing well. Back in 2021, Cooper provided insight into his social media approach that valued openness over illusion in an interview with Hollywire.
A lot of people on social media are just kind of like fake and they're all like, I'm perfect. Yeah. And then I'm like, I think that's stupid.
But Cooper's battle with addiction wasn't fought alone. The TikToker had a support system that had been there to tell him he was worth the effort it took to get sober. And a pivotal force behind Cooper's choice to abandon substances that had plagued his life since childhood was Jaden.
he was like one of the biggest people who like saved me and like showed me what care was and love, and he helped me become sober.
But how had Cooper's addiction started? In the February 2022 episode of the Good Boys podcast, Cooper explained how flight anxiety and a prescription had been his gateway to substance abuse.
So like the doctor's like, yeah, you can like give him like Xanax at 10 or like 9, and yeah, so I was taking like, and we were traveling a lot that year, and I was taking Xanax like twice a month at 9.
His early introduction to this medication led to further experimentation with addictive substances. His life proceeded to unravel until, at age 15, an overdose landed him in a wilderness therapy program. It would just be 1 month away from home, he was promised. But when talking to his program's mentor, he realized his stay wouldn't be so brief.
And he was like, that's a lie. You're gonna be here for a minimum 3 months, and then you're gonna go somewhere after for about a year. And right when I heard that, I was like, shut the up, man, like you're lying.
Oh my God.
He wasn't lying.
But unlike Paris Hilton, Danielle Bergoli, and the many others who come out of wilderness programs traumatized, Cooper said he enjoyed his time in nature. It was the aftercare at a residential treatment center where things fell apart. He described the center as corrupt, with employees only caring about money and turning a blind eye to the use of illegal substances. When he returned home, Cooper claimed he was worse than when he left. It wasn't until he was 18 that he decided to quit.
I just like had this moment of clarity where I was just like, it's really not worth it. I just fully went like cold turkey.
It was a decision he didn't make for his own well-being, but for others.
I couldn't do it for myself at the time, so I had to just do it for like my mom and dad.
And through his decision to leave substance abuse behind, Cooper found his purpose.
I need to like live to help others, I feel like, get through it.
This purpose was present in Cooper's social media posts, in his Discord server, and his dream of, one day, opening his own rehab. It's impossible to know where Cooper's future would have taken him, but the TikToker still managed to make a difference during his time on Earth. Like when another teen at a party seemed hesitant to try the same illegal substance others were partaking in.
And he's like, hey, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm like, well, you obviously don't, because like, you're questioning it. Yeah. So like, I just slapped it out of his hand, and then he was like, thank you so much. Like, I really didn't want to do it.
Cooper's ex-girlfriend Sabrina was also interviewed by the Good Boys podcast. In a love story for the modern age, Cooper and Sabrina's relationship started as a virtual courtship through DMs and Snapchats, but quickly died out before reigniting when the two met at a party.
And that night, there was like a party, and he comes up to me, he's like, you're gonna be my girlfriend. I was like, you're really weird, like, get away from me. And then 2 hours later, he's making out with a girl.
And despite their less than promising beginning, Cooper and Sabrina's relationship evolved.
And like all our friends were like, y'all are gonna end up dating. And I was like, no. And then we ended up dating, so.
By October 2020, the two were social media official. But the relationship was not without trials. Just a couple of months after they started, the couple was the subject of breakup rumors. It was alleged Sabrina cheated on Cooper when she appeared on ATV's Next Influencer and kissed Julian Jara. This, Sabrina promised, was not the case. The kiss had been staged. LOL, I did not cheat on Coop, she tweeted. The show is pre-filmed and it's a show. Don't take everything that happens on it so seriously, because I've been acting for years and I know how to do it well. And after this slight hiccup, the couple appeared strong. But, as is the story with most cases of young love, they didn't last. In April 2022, Sabrina revealed the two had broken up, this time for real. Hi guys, me and Cooper are no longer together and would love some privacy during this time. I will love him forever and he will always be my best friend. Thank you guys for everything, Sabrina wrote in a statement on Instagram. In a YouTube video posted in May, Sabrina said she was going through a depressive episode.
There's a lot of like changes happening in my life right now that are very overwhelming and hard to deal with. And I'm trying, but it's really a lot. And I'm feeling super overwhelmed right now. And all I want to do is lay in this bed and never talk to anyone again.
One of the biggest changes was going from living with Cooper to breaking up and moving out.
Even though I'm doing okay, you know, because I know that it's what we both needed in the moment and we'll be happy in the long run, it's still a lot of like change and it's scary.
From the way Sabrina put it, the breakup seemed more of a necessary pause rather than a permanent status change. And the feeling may have been mutual. After Cooper posted a video of 10 things he loved, a fan commented asking about Sabrina. I obviously still love her, he replied. And a TikTok Cooper posted at the end of May suggested his feelings for his ex were still strong. Fans were hopeful the two would reconcile. Cooper and Sabrina had their whole futures to sort things out, or so they thought. In the time leading up to Cooper's passing, there were changes in the TikToker's behavior that were all put to the forefront in his last TikTok live.
This world is so cruel, and I'm probably gonna get banned on this live for saying stuff like this, but whatever.
On the live, he joined his viewers in a vulnerable state to speak about a friend who had passed from an overdose.
You know, because you don't want to walk in on your friend like with his nose overdosed. That's just not cool.
This friend had evidently been an important figure in Cooper's own battle with addiction, and Cooper's pain over the situation was on full display.
R.I.P. to the man who saved my life, bro. If it wasn't for him, bro, I would be dead. For real. For real, for real. That man really made me feel like I wasn't alone. It really made me feel like I wasn't alone in very dark times.
He told his viewers he planned to partner with an Instagram called End Overdose to educate people on dangers of illegal substances that can be laced with cheaper, more addictive, and more deadly substances.
I just really want y'all to be safe. If y'all are gonna be doing stupid shit, be safe. Be safe.
This, Cooper believed, was his path in life.
This is my passion. My passion is to help people.
Looking at the state he was in, some viewers questioned his sobriety during the live.
I am sober, so ever say I'm not living my life, but I'm just crying.
We don't know how Cooper's life ended, but we do know how his life was lived, and it's through these memories those who love the TikToker cherish him today. When news of his passing broke, some fans entered the first stage of grief: denial. They pleaded for the news to be fake, for Cooper to be safe, alive, and just waiting to post a video explaining this had all been some horrible misunderstanding. Others were more ready to accept the passing for what it was: a tragedy. This doesn't feel real. Rest in peace. You will always be remembered. Forever be my comfort person. This makes me so sad. You were way too young. I'm so sorry. Rest in peace. Some were even able to find a lesson in Cooper's passing. If this has taught us anything, always check up on others. You never know what anyone is going through. But for those who'd known the influencer intimately, the news was harder to take. On Instagram, Sabrina responded to his ex's passing, calling Cooper the light of her life and the best thing that ever happened to her. May we meet again, she wrote. Cooper's family was also grieving the loss. We lost our beautiful 19-year-old Cooper last evening, his father wrote in a Facebook post. There are no words to express the grief and loss. It's not supposed to be this way. Your child is not supposed to pass before his parents. A statement from the whole Noriega family was also posted to Instagram, thanking everyone for the overwhelming support and outpouring of love for Cooper. However brief his time in the world was, Cooper had left his mark, and his family was committed to spend the rest of our lives finishing everything Cooper ever dreamed of. We will honor his legacy forever, they said. The family asked that others continue to share their photos, stories, and memories of Cooper. With permission from the Noriegas, the outpouring of love for the gone too soon TikToker carried on across social media. Despite the uncertain terms Jaden and Cooper's friendship had ended on, the singer used social media to voice his love for Cooper.
Over this, there you go. Hey.
From Jaden's perspective, Cooper's passing wasn't an end to their bond, just a road bump that time would flatten. Life without you isn't life. It's just something I can do until I see you again, Jaden wrote on Instagram. The singer also announced a commemorative album dedicated to his friend titled 28, Songs for Cooper. The album was released on June 28th, the day Cooper was supposed to turn 20. And it consisted of 2 songs, Beautiful Boy and Even in the Dark. In the second track's chorus, Jaden sings, "This world was too painful. Hope it's better where you are. And I've been holding on to things that only you would know. Misery loves company, but now I'm all alone." All the proceeds from the album will go to Coop's Advice Foundation, a charity centered around addiction and mental health awareness that Cooper's family created. Nessa also used social media as a way to commemorate her friend and process her grief in real time. "I've been trying to understand how life could possibly still have meaning with you gone. A part of me died with you," she wrote in an Instagram caption. As for what was left of her, she said that part would go on and live for Cooper. She promised to accomplish all the goals Cooper and herself had dreamed of, all the goals that Cooper wouldn't be around to fulfill. I want to make you proud, she wrote. On June 24th, Nessa released a song in memory of Cooper titled Die First. Coop said this was his favorite song off the album, and I'm so happy I got to tell him that this song was for him and my mom before he passed. I miss you more than ever, my little dove, she wrote in an Instagram post. The song's chorus highlights Nessa's reluctance to move on if the song's subject were to pass away. She sings that she doesn't want to live or learn how to fall asleep without that person. Nessa explains her only hope to avoid this heartbreak is for the song's subject to outlive her. She sings, "Maybe I can break the curse, and I can be in love forever if I die first." And Josh, the third member of the love triangle Cooper had been caught in the middle of, also posted his condolences. He described Cooper as not only a friend, but brother, who was the brightest light in every room he stepped into. All you did was care for others. You would spend any amount of time or drop anything you were doing just to listen and be there. I couldn't have asked for a better friend, he wrote. And grief wasn't in short supply. Across the internet, friends expressed their disbelief and sadness over Cooper's passing. If the sentiments everyone expressed could be summarized, one message rang clear. The world had suffered a great loss in Cooper's passing. But there were condolences that, to some, rang hollow, like those of the BFFs podcast. Many of Cooper's fans believed the TikToker had been treated poorly while on the podcast, and believed they had no right to speak on Cooper's passing. Y'all made fun of him, and now y'all posting him? Didn't you guys bully this guy? Y'all don't give a shit about him. Let's be honest, he was the sweetest soul, and y'all basically just shit on him. It also didn't sit well with some that the podcast was the first source to post the news to social media. Seriously? You're going to post this like it's just some headline, instead of letting his actual friends and family process it first? But not everyone felt it was fair to blame the podcast for a few jokes. They never made fun of him. Rewatch the podcast before making a crazy accusation at a time like this. Have you ever had a friendly interaction? Them making fun of him was so light it wasn't mean at all. A man died and this is the first thing you bring up? Shut the up and touch grass. Perhaps the response of Cooper's fans was a prelude to the second stage of grief, anger. In a since-deleted tweet, Mads Lewis expressed disdain at those who were using Jaden's music in edits of Cooper, calling it disrespectful and disgusting. "You're a hypocrite, Jaden, a hypocrite," she wrote. And while some agreed with her assessment of her ex-boyfriend, others found her response to be inappropriate, and disagreed with Mads' effort to assign blame when there wasn't any. I don't know what she's trying to say, but this is not Jaden's fault at all. Even Tana Mojo replied, "Who tweets this?" But there were some who, although they didn't agree with what Mads was saying, were sympathetic to the emotions that provoked her. Gotta forgive her for this one because she is grieving. TikToker Bryce Hall asked people to focus less on the way influencers were responding to Cooper's passing and to focus on the reality of the situation that Cooper's family and friends were currently dealing with. "Respect that everyone copes differently," he wrote. But that wasn't the end of the call-out posts. Michael Gruen, co-founder of Talent X Entertainment, which manages creators like Josh Richards and Griffin Johnson, aimed a number of tweets at those who he believed were using Cooper's passing as a way to secure internet clout. "Crazy to see how many very best friends someone had that only come out posthumously," Michael wrote. While he believed everyone should pay their respects, he also believed people were claiming to have an intimate relationship with the deceased to get sympathy points and Instagram likes. My point is, his real friends took care of him when he was alive and were with him almost every day. Jaden, Nessa, Josh, Anthony, etc. These random influencers that barely knew him that are coming out of the woodworks to now say they loved him is really shameful, Michael tweeted. But how could people separate those who were truly grieving from those who were exploiting Cooper's passing? Michael claimed Cooper's real friends will use his story and struggles to amplify his message to the world and save real lives, while the others won't lift a finger. And although some agreed with the point he was trying to make, many believed it was Michael who was in the wrong for commenting on Cooper's passing. A 19-year-old passed away and this is what you have to say on it? Just because someone didn't spend time with someone doesn't mean the person who passed didn't affect their life in a massive way. I mean, this is pretty tone deaf. Despite the contrasting opinions and drama that followed Cooper's passing, it seems what's important for the TikToker's friends and family is that these responses don't overshadow the difference Cooper wanted to make in the world. After all, it's through their efforts that Cooper's dream lives on.
Y'all save me. Y'all I hope I saved some of y'all too.
If you feel inspired to make a difference, visit coopsadvice.org for ways to donate. And if you or a loved one is suffering with substance abuse, please call the American Addiction Center's hotline at 866-475-4920 to speak with a trained advisor. All calls are toll-free and confidential. In times of grief, anger can be misplaced, as people search for someone to blame. Often, this is easier than acknowledging the senselessness of tragedy.
I have to figure my shit out, so I'm doing my best now.
But through those Cooper left behind, his passing can find meaning.
This is my passion. My passion is to help people.
This is the story of Cooper Noriega, the TikToker who wanted to make a real change.